hello. Welcome back to another episode for the Born to Lead docuseries. I am your host, Dr. Jacqueline Kabah Harrison. And with this particular docuseries, each guest I bring on is definitely a leader, definitely a true leader in their business, in their life, just in general. And this particular docu-series focuses on, yes, leadership. So if you are trying to move up in your current position that you have in corporate, or you're an entrepreneur and you want to fine tune your leadership skills, you are definitely in the right place. I must also say, make sure that you subscribe to the A Queens Roundtable YouTube channel. That way you can stay up to date on when a new episode is getting ready to drop. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to bring my guest to the stage, to the studio, and let her introduce herself. All right, welcome, Dr. Natoshia Anderson. How are you today?
I am so well. So good to be here.
Where are you again? I know I'm in Michigan. What state are you in?
I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
You're in Atlanta. Okay, all right. So you guys are well into the warm weather.
We're into allergies.
Oh, okay.
That's where we are. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, welcome and welcome to the Born to Lead docu-series. And you are definitely someone that I'm really super excited to interview, and I can't wait to hear a little bit more about leadership. As far as your take on it, just everything. When you acknowledge that you were a leader, and definitely giving the ladies some tips and tools on how to refine their leadership abilities and or skills to help
Ooh.
them fine tune or up or scale their business. Let me say that, to help them scale their business. So
Okay.
let's kind of double back a little bit. Tell everyone a little bit about you and your business and your passion.
Okay, good. Well, again, I am so eternally grateful to be here. I am Dr. Natoshia Anderson. People call me Dr. Tasha. um, and my business is it's called Nerdy Brain LLC. And basically, we are a consulting business. I say we, me. But I do have a great team behind me. It's a family business, so I don't do anything alone. Um, but basically, what I do is coach and consult with minority women in STEM and girls. And so let me do the separation. So I am a Black woman in STEM. I was a mechanical engineer for 10 years, and I loved it. And so a mechanical engineer is, I always like to call us the jack of all trades of engineers. And so I jumped from being in manufacturing. So I manufactured um, train car parts first, and went to manufacturing car parts, and then went to manufacturing HVAC parts and systems. And so, like I said, jack of all trades, and then went into teaching engineering at in college, and then went to teaching high school, and now work with uh, educational and corporate, with trying to change the culture so that Black women like myself and other younger women in the profession have a more welcoming environment. But I also, on the flip side of that, work with minority women so that they can understand the culture that working in and walking into. So it's a both and not an either or, because it's not an easy. It's still a white man's world. And so, because I've worked in it, I understand it. So I'm trying to do both and help help change the culture from the inside and help women understand it as they're walking into it. So that is my work. I do coaching because, again, like I said, it can be a tough world, but I want them, um, to understand what that world is, so that they can help to be a part of the solution. So that's one side, and then my wonderful other side of the world is working with young girls, and I call it, that's my becoming butterfly world. Is helping young girls work on their self-esteem. And I just started this work, but I know that God called me to it, and so I'm walking through it. And so it's becoming butterfly world. And so I have just written a book, and it's out on Amazon right now. And so it's really just this wonderful, where it's a guide to helping Black girls walk through their workout and walk through their own positive self-esteem guide, and with their parents. So if you're on Amazon, look me up at Dr. Natoshia Anderson, and um, get to work on your self-esteem. And if you are a parent looking for a way to help your girls with their self-esteem, and you're just like at your last wits end, go to my website at www.drtasha.co, and I have a beautiful butterfly coaching method that I think is wonderful, and it's been proven to help young girls with their self-esteem, build it up, so we can build them up and send them out into the world, fulfilled and filled, so that they can be all that they can be.
All
That's
right. Wow, you do quite a bit. You really do. So this Born to Lead docuseries and talking about leadership in this in the area that you're in is, you know, like how you said, it's kind of like uncharted territory in terms of Black women in this space.
yeah,
So I know that, or I could only imagine how the different types of challenges that you've had to, overcome and deal with, and probably may to some extent continue to deal with.
yeah,
Which is why you've been through it, you've been there, which is why you know how important it is to, have someone to kind of help you, or help individuals navigate through that process. So let's tie that into leadership.
oh yeah.
So, like I said, you are a perfect candidate to talk about leadership. So let me ask you this. Okay, so have you always considered yourself a leader? And well, you know what? Let me scale back a little bit more. Tell me, what exactly does leadership mean to you, and why is it crucial to see yourself as a leader in this particular industry? If that makes sense, if you can kind of, you know, make that
Yeah.
question.
It's a really good question. It's a valid question. I didn't always see myself as a leader. Um, I was almost scared to walk into it, right? I think, some are called to be leaders, and I think I am in that category. I think so. Here's what I know to be true after having um, I've studied leadership. I have watched good leaders. I've watched bad leaders. I've had them both. I've been blessed to be able to sit and study, be mentored by some of both some of the good ones and the bad ones, um, and and my degree is in educational leadership. So I've had the opportunity to study it, to really do a history and deep dive into it, and to really sort of get my hands around some really good, juicy, meaty stuff as it relates to leadership, organizational leadership, educational leadership, just leadership in general. And I really love it, right? Because there's just there's just so many ways to do it, and there's not one right way. And so I think I believe myself to be a leader. And matter of fact, I know I am. I know it unequivocally. I don't need someone to tell me that I am. Um, I know that I am. And what leadership means to me is service. Um, a good leader is in service to the people that are following them. And if you're not, if you don't have people who are willing to follow you, then you are literally just taking a walk, right? That's that. You have to be a person of integrity. You have to be a person who has values, and you have to embody those to the people that are willing to follow you. You have to be a person of vision. You have to have a vision, right? You have to be willing to engage and develop other people, right? You have to invest in the people that are willing to be, to willing to invest in you, right? They said, hey, she is a person that I want to follow. But you have to be willing to engage and develop those folks, right? You have to be willing to really reinvent yourself, right? And reinvent and sort of like not say stagnant, right? So you have to really I would say I say reinvent, but I really mean improvement, right? So like process improvement is important. So like even if something's not going right, you have to be like, that didn't work. Let's invest and see why that didn't work, and let's see how we can change things up. Okay, you have to be willing to say, okay, guys, let's say, like let's see why that didn't work, and let's do it again. Or like a piece of that process didn't work for us, and let's change that piece. Not let's just trash the whole thing. Let's see part three of that process didn't work for us, and let's figure out why it didn't work. Right? A good leader is willing to say they're sorry, or like I apologize for that. Like they don't take themselves so seriously. But they're willing to really say, I got that wrong. Like there's so many of us that get in leadership and like, I'm never wrong. No, I got it wrong, you know? Um, and again, that goes with valuing the results and the relationships. You gotta value the relationships you have with people, but you gotta hold them accountable too. So that's the other part of it. It's like, you may work with your friends, but at the same time, if they didn't meet the number, you got to be like, you got to have that courageous conversation and be like, yo, what happened here? And then be able to say, okay, well, understood that happened, but you still need to be able to, meet your numbers. And what are we going to do to meet our numbers next week, or the week after, or by when can you have that done? And that is actually one of the hardest lessons that I had to learn when I really fully stepped into leadership. It's like having relationships with people you work with is like, it's one of the joys, but it's also one of the things where you're like, oh, my colleagues are not necessarily my colleagues anymore. I am their boss, and I have to hold them accountable for turning that report in on time. Like I can't necessarily go to lunch with them and it's not the same, right? We can't, gossip is not this, like they're gossiping about me because I'm the boss, you know? And it's like, okay, well, we can't do that. I have to change the culture, right? That's not acceptable. And so again, you have to be a person of integrity. So all of those things mean, for me is how I like to lead. It's like it's like people are like, you like to lead from the front. And it's like, if I'm in the front, I can't see anything. So it's like I like to, it's like we got to be all here together. And so like that's how I like to, like we're all accountable. Like I'm looking at you, look at me. It's like we're all seeing the same thing. And so that's leadership to me. We're all in service to each other. So That's leadership to me.
Okay. Well, you've gave that was a lot of good information, and so many so it kind of intrigued me on so many levels. So a couple of things. One, I like how you said relationship and results. So that kind of stuck out. And it also stuck out when you said, you know, how or and you just said it about like leading from like not leading from the front, that if you're in the front, you can't really see what's going on. So that stuck out. And also when you talked about, or I think you kind of touched on it a little bit, but in terms of actually knowing each individual person and how, let's say, how to hold them accountable.
Mhm.
Because I think holding people accountable, and maybe I'm wrong, you tell me what you think. I think that kind of goes into everybody is motivated by something different.
Mhm.
And I would think that holding individuals accountable would be different from person to person. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just what I'm thinking. So I
Yeah.
guess kind of touch on those things, the relationship and results, because I think that's very important.
Yeah,
Talk
well,
talk.
you gotta know the people. You gotta know the people that you're working with, and so if you're in relationship with another person, right? It
Mhm,
takes time. And like I said, this is one of the hardest pieces of being in leadership that I had to learn. Now,
okay.
I will tell you, I'm task oriented, and I think it's like my engineering background.
Hmm.
It's like we're all, you got to do this, and you then do this, then do this, then do this, and then okay, right, and it's like it's about the process and the task, right, and then like maybe then it's about the relationships. So I literally had to learn how to be in relationships with people because like okay, like I'll tell you a quick story. It's like I when I got into leadership, um I had a guy. I always see his name is Scoville Jenkins, right? And Scoville Jenkins taught me a lot of lessons. But he was like him and I used to clash. We were this like all the time. It was like she doesn't see me. And I was like, "What do you mean? I see you're standing right in front of me. I got like, what are you talking about?" You know, and it clicked for me one day because I would come down to his office and I would just firing off stuff like, you didn't turn in this report and I needed to be blah blah blah, so on and so forth. And he would just be like, she just comes down here like she just mean, and I was like, I'm not mean. Like, what are you talking? It would just be like, this man is crazy, right? And I'm like, he's not crazy. What he meant was, like, I wasn't asking him about his day. I didn't ask him about his dog. I wasn't asking him about his wife and his kids, right? He meant I didn't see him as a person first, right? And I was like, oh, okay, I got it. So for him, because like literally, I would come in and it was barely a hello. Like it did like because I'm so task oriented, it would literally be like, "Good morning," blah blah blah, so on and so forth, and then I would be like, "Okay, so is your wife okay? How was that vacation? Oh, don't you have a dog?" Right? Because for in my mind, I got to get these tasks out of my head, like, and it was like on a loop,
Hmm.
right? Because that's how I'm oriented, but he is not oriented that way. And so if I want to get work out of him, I have to know how he works. And it took me a minute, like, okay, so that's how I'm oriented, but I have to know how he works in order to get the result. And so that's what you have to do for each one of your people. You have to know how they work. And so it took a while because like down the hall, Jamal, he doesn't care. He's task oriented too. So I can go in and be like, yo, man, where's that report? And he's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna send it to you right now. Like he doesn't care about a hello, right? But down the hall, if I'm talking to Cindy, I'm like, hey, did you go roller skating yesterday? And she's like, oh yeah, we had a great time. And then like, remember to turn in your report. And then she's like, oh, okay, great. You know, so I had to learn what works to get the results that I needed from my team. But Scoville Jenkins was my teacher.
Okay.
And so that's how we had to, he was, like I said, he was the greatest teacher. But we clashed for maybe two quarters because I was like, man, you're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. But
Okay.
he taught me.
Okay. So relationships and results.
Yep.
I like that. I'm gonna remember that. And you know, this is something that comes up every interview and is such an important part of leadership. And I think a lot of times we just kind of think of leadership as, basically tell them just, and I'm just saying it like this, everybody, just to kind of prove a point. But it's just kind of about telling people what to do. You know, like you said, having that vision, knowing what the end goal is, and just basically being like, I need you, you, and you to do this, this, and this. You know, and missing that, or one of the integral pieces, which is actually understanding the people that you're working with, or
Correct.
having a pretty good sense of kind of what motivates them,
Yeah.
what is going to get the best, and not being manipulative, but what's going to get the best outcome from them, what motivates them, and you do have to understand that in order to be a good leader, I would say, or in order to be an effective leader for your team and really get those results.
Yeah, and it's not being manipulative. I actually think it's being very smart, right? It's like,
Okay.
how am I going to, it's actually a part of being engaging, right? And developing, right? So if I know that what motivates Cindy is XYZ, right? If I want to get the best out of her, if I want to showcase her skills, I got to know what those skills are.
Hmm.
I don't know her, like, right? Maybe I inherited her from another team.
Hmm.
I don't know. I need to know what motivates her. So I need to get to know her to know what motivates her. That means that I have to develop my own relationship with her.
Hmm.
I gotta be in conversation, and I have to be intentional about making that happen.
Okay.
So I can't be in there barking orders at her.
Right.
That's not gonna work. You know, that's just that ain't gonna work.
So this has brought up another question for me. We're going to answer this one, then we'll just take a quick commercial break.
Sure.
Um, how did you go about doing that? Let's just say there's some individuals listening and they're thinking like, okay, that makes sense, but I don't really know how to go about doing that. And I know you said you had to get to know individuals. Maybe you can throw out a couple of suggestions about how to, because maybe some people may be just kind of clueless as to how to do that.
I got some. I do have some. Okay. You want me to give them now?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay. All right. So it is called an operating manual.
Okay.
And basically it is, you can find these, you can probably find some on the internet for free. So everyone has an operating manual. Basically, these are some sort of do's and don'ts, some things that irritates you. It's sort of how you work best, right? Right. There's something, Dr. Jackie, you have some. There's some things that, like, how do you work under stress? Right? Some things you need you're in a stressful environment, like, or a stressful situation. This is like how you work best. Or on your best day, this is how you show up. Like, you're happy, you're sad and sunny, or you're happy and sunny, or when you are not at your best. These are the things that you need to operate, right? Are you introverted or extroverted? Or when you are, like I said, when you're in a stressful environment, like, or the things that make you mad. Like for me, it's like if I have to repeat myself, you're not gonna get the best version of me. Like for real. Like there's something about that where like the more I have to repeat myself, I can feel that little monster inside of me coming out. And it's like the more I have to do it, you know, you're gonna get one of these. And it's like, and then it's like, didn't I already say that one time? And I have to say it again. And it's like, I am not, it's like that other version of me is gonna come out. There's just something about that just clicks something in my head that is not nice. And so I already know, like, if I have to repeat it more than twice, then oh, buddy. So, like, I already know you're not going to get the best version of me if I have to do that, right? And so, and then, so things like that, you're going to need to know. And so you fill out this template and everybody on your team has it. So they already know, like, okay, so if you're late, you might as well don't show up because I'm already salty with you. Like if the meeting starts at 7:05 and you show up at like 7:10, why are you late? Like, why are you late? Like, and then, definitely if you don't tell me you're going to be late. Like, it's one thing for you to be late. And like, okay, you say, hey, I'm be 7 minutes late. Oh, okay, great. At least you told me, so I know not to expect you. But I'm here and I have no notice. And what? Oh, and then you show up and then don't waltz in. Then we're gonna have some
time,
right. We're gonna have some serious problems. Okay. This is a no. Like I like to value people's time and I want you to value mine. Right. So like you see what I mean? So now if you're going to be late in a meeting that I'm in, you need to have told me, especially if I'm leading the meeting. I'm already gonna be annoyed, even if I'm in the meeting and you're late. I'm already gonna be annoyed. You just know that I'm gonna be annoyed, even if I'm in the meeting. I'm not even leading the meeting. I'm already gonna be annoyed because you're late. But especially if I'm leading the meeting, I'm going to be annoyed. So those are just a few of my pet peeves, just things just not to do, right? So you give this to your team so they already know if they already know going in, ooh, Tasha gonna be, don't be late, have your reports in on time, like honor her time, don't repeat, don't ask her to repeat anything. Have your things in order. If you can't have it in order, please let her know in advance so she is prepared, because I know that if you're not prepared, that means she's not going to be prepared. Please tell her why you don't have your stuff in order so that she can, so all of those things, like those things will set me off.
Okay.
So you have, so those are the things that you put in this document. And then as a team, we now can put in what they call a flex agreement. So like if as a team, then like I said, that's a flex agreement. So like if somebody on the team is out of order, it's one of those things where it's like, ooh, okay. If the team is working the way it's supposed to, and somebody does something that sort of has the team going, we can all say, oh, what my friend says is that her team has a safe word. And if somebody does something that's out of order, their safe word is like bananas. So somebody like like they're in a team meeting and somebody does something that's like crazy, that's just way out of pocket, somebody will just, throw out bananas and everybody's like, oh, wait, I was out of order. And then, and they can put it on the table and talk about it like, sir, or that was what are you doing, right? Because as a team, we agreed that we were going to do this and now you're doing this. And so that's how you keep the team rolling on track.
Okay.
So now, like we have our operating manual, so we know how to approach each team member. But as a team now, we have a flex agreement that says, as a team, we will operate like this.
Okay. Because I guess also too within the team, there are certain people that just may get real agitated about certain things. Like, let's just say, like how you mentioned about the time, the other team members could also feel the same way. Like, well,
Mm-hmm.
listen, I made the effort to get here on time. Why does it always seem like we waiting on you? Kind of a thing, or
Right. Because as a team, we might agree on we're meeting on Thursdays at 8 o'clock. And if Bob is always late, we're going to bananas, Bob, bananas. Like,
right,
why are you always late to this meeting? Like, sir, no, we agreed that we're going to meet on Thursdays at 8 o'clock. You cannot be late. Like, get it together. Or we
right,
need to adjust the time so that you can be on time.
right.
Because then we're going to set Natoshia off. And we do not want that. Okay.
I like that, a safe word. But okay, all right, that makes perfect sense. So let's take a quick commercial break, Dr. Natasha, and then we will be right back, everybody. So don't go anywhere. We're taking a quick commercial break.
Realizing Your Potential LLC presents Born to Lead, Awakening the Leader Within. This anthology brings together women that have overcome hardships in their lives and have managed not only to survive, but thrive. Their stories focus on resiliency, adaptability, and strength, acknowledging the innate strength and leadership qualities in African American women.
Okay. So, Born to Lead, Awakening the Leader Within is available on Amazon. So, if you have not got your copy, do so today. All right. So, a quick little wrap up of where we left off. We were talking about kind of some ground rules, or a safe word, in terms of for the team can function together very cohesively, right? Okay. So, and it was something else I was going to ask you. Kind of slipped my mind. Maybe it'll come back to me. But
Sure.
what are some other, I guess, tips and tools that you would give to other, I guess, new leaders, in terms of how to kind of, I guess, come into it the right way, into leading the team. And let's just say a new team. Let's say, because I think this is what happens most often. People
Yeah.
are often shifted, right? And they come into an existing
Team.
team.
Yeah, that is hard.
Okay.
It's hard. First, take your time,
Okay.
get the lay of the land. Interview your team, but make your own assessment, if you understand what I'm saying.
Okay.
Do the operating manual. And I know, and here's the thing, they will tell you there will be opposition to change. Okay, so trust me on this. They're going to be opposition to change. If you are the new person on your team and you are the leader, the team is they're gonna be like, oh, here she comes. She's gonna change. She's gonna want to change all the things, right?
Mhm.
Yes, you are. It's your team. You're gonna want to do it your way, and they're gonna resist. They are. It's okay. Take your time, but do the work, and ask for their patience, and ask them for the time to do it. And of course there's going to be resistance, and there might even be those people who are going to do what they want to do, right? They'll be the ones, they'll be talking because they've been there, right? They'll be the one. I'm going to ask you to shut it down, right? And you're going to have to do the step up, right? Hey, team, I get that you guys have been here and I have not. But this is the team. And I'm going to ask for you guys to give me the chance to do this the way I'm going to do it, and ask for their patience and their respect while you get things in order. So you pass out the operating manual, you tell them, you give them your vision, and you give them a plan.
Okay.
Because people respect plans. They may not agree with it, but they do respect it. And so that's the other thing. So you have to, again, you have to help them see the future. You have to help them see your vision first. Okay, because you can't go in there and be like, I just got here. They're not going to respect that. You have to go in with the plan.
Okay.
Right. And so, especially with a team that was dysfunctional and they have a new leader and it's you. So you have to go, you unfortunately don't have the luxury of just sort of sitting back and saying, let me see how this goes. Nah, that's not going to work. So go in with the plan, and go in with that operating manual, and set things in motion, and then hold them accountable. Hold them accountable for bad behavior. Hold them accountable for results, and then put the operating manual in play, and then put the flex agreements in play. And again, all of these things you can find on the internet. Google is a masterpiece of finding free things. But also, if you want to find, like I said, go to Google. Ken Blanchard has some free stuff. He is a leadership guru, and so you can go there and look and see if you can find some other things. He's where I find a lot of stuff.
Okay. Now, do you also, in terms of holding people accountable, how do you kind of how do I say this? How do you go about finding out, well, two things. How do you go about finding out what the individual's strengths are? And do you do that as a leader? And two, how do you kind of give people praise? Is that something you do individually? Do you do it as a group, or both? And how important is that?
Scold privately, praise publicly.
Okay. Okay.
I learned that the hard way too.
Okay.
Had to learn some things along the way. But when you are having problems with a person, don't do it in public.
Okay.
You take that person aside, you pull them into an office, or their office, or your office. I used to always do it in my office. I used to never do it in their office. I used to always take them or pull them to my office, and we would have the conversation there. And generally it would be that I would try to speak in facts, right? And it would never be, well, I think, and I know, it would always be like, here are the facts. And then I would leave it there. It couldn't, yeah. So I just didn't want it to never be conjecture. So I would leave it there, and it was, never was, you don't like me, and I never went down those roads. It would always be backed up with, here are the things that I know to be true, and it would always be backed up with fact, things that I could prove. And then there was always a plan of action to get them back up to where they needed to be, and they could either agree or not agree, and I would leave it there. And so that's how I chose to operate, because I didn't want to, especially when, I guess, reprimands happened, I didn't want to make it personal. Right? I just couldn't do that. even if it was with a person that I had a personal relationship with. I had to remove myself from the personal part of it in order to do the reprimand portion.
Okay.
But and then I also actually had to do the praise the same way, but I wanted to do the praise in public, so I usually had to do, like, I usually did those at team meetings. And so we would have a team meeting. We had a team meeting every 2 weeks. So we would have a day where we did recognitions, and so those were fun days where we would recognize somebody on the team for something that they had done, and so those were fun, and so we would do that, and so it was basically usually it was either a gift card to Amazon, or it actually depended upon who that person was and what it said on their operating manual,
Okay.
like how they like to receive rewards. Because some people were just like, yeah, shout out is nice. And so it'd be like, we'd like to recognize Tim for, job well done. And other people are like, yeah, I like candy, or Amazon's my favorite store, so they would tell us how they like to receive recognition. So we would do that. And so we got them, we recognized them in the way in which they like to be recognized. And some people are like, I like cake, so they would get a cake.
Mhm.
So that way, it was that the reverse the golden rules. Recognize people the way in which they like to be, recognized, instead of like the way you would like to do it, because everybody don't like the little certificate. Like, you're like, what am I doing with this certificate? I got a packet full of certificates. I'm like, what does this mean? So
Yes.
we would do that. We would do that. Some people are like, give me a pack of Skittles. Okay.
Okay.
That's that's what you want.
Got you. You know what? And it's like that reminds me of the whole. I'm sure you're probably familiar with the 5 love languages, right?
Mhm.
And it makes me think about that because, one person can appreciate this and the other person doesn't. You know what I mean? And it's like
Yep.
if you don't do it in the way that they appreciate it, then it's kind of almost defeating the purpose. You know.
Correct.
Um so yeah, so that's kind of what that made me think about. So, and you know what, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think, actually, to be honest with you, I've never experienced anything like that. Like, I've never had a boss give me, well, what do you call the assessment again? Like, to figure out the
The
agreement.
operating manual.
Right. I've never had anyone give me anything like that. I've never even been considered in terms of, usually companies just like, maybe they decide on what they want to do to show appreciation. The company as a whole, and then your boss too typically decides what they want to, how they want to show you that they appreciate you, if they do. You know what I mean? So this is like totally
Nope.
new territory. Um
Yeah, I had a guy. He was retiring on my team. He had been at the company for 35 years, and
wow.
they were after me. Doc, what are we? We're gonna throw him a party. I'm like, Randy don't want no party. I promise you, I promise you, he does not want a party.
Hmm.
I will ask him, but I promise you, he doesn't want a party. I go down there. I say, Randy, they want to throw you a party. Doc, I don't want no party. If they throw me a party, I'm not going to be there. I was like, I know. I'm trying to convince them not to throw you a party. He's like, I promise you, I'm not going to be there. I go back up there. I'm like, Randy's not going to be there if we throw him a party. Well, what does he want? I said, he just wants to leave the building.
Okay.
That's it. He just wants to leave. He literally just wants to leave the building. Like that. That's it.
That's
It's
it.
like he
Peace.
doesn't want a dinner. He doesn't want a plaque. He just wants to leave the bed. He's been here for 35 years. He just wants to go home.
Right.
And they're like, we got to do something. He literally has been here for 35 years. I said, he's done his time. He
Mm-hmm.
wants to go home. He's
Mm-hmm.
he's retiring.
Mm-hmm.
He
Mm-hmm.
wants to go home. He wants to be on his boat, and he wants to sail away.
Right. Okay.
That's it. And when he left, what they did do was so poignant. Every single employee in the building, I told them, I said, he's leaving. Like, he's packed his last box. I said, he's leaving at 4 o'clock on Friday. Every single employee lined up, and they lined up and they clapped on his way out. It was so beautiful. That's how they left.
Wow.
It was the perfect way for him to leave.
Okay. Okay.
That's it.
Wow. I like that. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking like, I'd have to really think about that. Like, how would I want to be praised at my job? I'd have to think about that. I don't know. Wow. And this is part of what I enjoy about this. It's just to kind of give people an idea, because some people are new to leadership. I mean, they consider themselves leaders, and maybe they've led before, but they're new to this particular team, or maybe they're new to leadership altogether, like being over a whole team or a whole department, and this way they can take these tangible tips and tools and just kind of play with it, like you said, do a little bit of Googling and just, come up with something that works for them, because you also have to consider, your own style, right? And I know we didn't really touch on this, but kind of know what your strengths and what your weaknesses are and how you.
Is very true. So now I had to learn my own style, because at first, I came in guns blazing. I'm not going to even lie to you. I was not good. I wasn't. I mean, I can be honest with you. At first, I came in my first leadership position. I thought I had all the answers. Like, I mean, couldn't tell me nothing.
Okay.
And people were like, yeah, she is horrible. I mean, honestly, I can
Like
speak on it now. I mean, it was a fail. It was a fail, because I thought I had all the answers. They gave me, I was promoted into a leadership position. And when I was promoted to the leadership position, what I was told is that you are coming to save this department. And so when I hear that, I'm like, oh, I'm the savior. Okay. All right. Well, let me come in and save.
Right.
Okay. Well, all you people are already wrong.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't know anything. When you come in with this mentality that everybody who's already there are wrong, I didn't ask the people who were in that department anything.
Okay. Dang, you did come in blazing. Dang.
No, I mean, dead wrong. I was dead wrong. I didn't ask them any questions at all.
Okay.
And so I'm coming in, you guys need to change this. You need to do all this. You need to be. Those people were like, who are you?
Right.
Where did you even come from? Why are you, what? What? And then I started making all these mistakes, right? And I got to ask them. Them people were like, oh, now you need us, right? I mean, oh, now you want to talk to us, right? Now you need us. Now you need us to fix all of the mess you done.
It's like this.
I'm sorry.
Right. But that was probably the biggest teacher, right? A huge lesson as to how to be a more effective leader, because you had the skills, but like you said, and I think everybody has to learn. You know what I mean? You might be, and that's just us in general, right? There's certain things that we like me, for example, like I'm usually pretty good with dealing with people and talking to people, kind of meeting people where they are, seeing people's strengths and weaknesses, but it may be a little bit more challenging for me to hold people accountable. So that would be a piece that I would have to learn. And I guess just like off the top of my head, being a therapist, I guess I would probably ask individuals, what, and if they don't know right then, just think about it. How do you respond to, or what makes you, how do I say it? How do you like to be held accountable? I guess you know what I mean. Maybe what works for you. Some people may know, some people may not know. But I would think that that might be a place to start. I don't
I
know.
no, well, I like to be somebody pulled my coattail. Like
Okay.
I had someone pull me off to the side and they like, hey girl, you know, they had pulled my coattail before, but I was still in that mindset. And they were like, you're messing this up, right? Like they want to help you, right? They know what to do,
Mhm.
and they want you to succeed, but like the way you're coming at them is wrong. And I was like, oh girl, you don't know what you're talking about. This is what I was told, blah, 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 right? And she was like, okay. And so I couldn't hear her. But she came to me in with the right form, with the way I could normally hear information. I just couldn't hear her.
Okay.
And so I had to go back to her and I was like, I'm sorry. You know, I apologize. You were exactly right. And I said, I hear you now. What do I need to do? And she was like, okay, let's get to work.
All right.
It was just sort of like, it was just like that. It was just like that. Here's what we need to do. Here's what you need to say. Here's who you need to talk to. And you need to talk to them like today. Let's get on it. Get on the phones. You need to blah, blah, blah. You do. So it was just that simple.
Right. Okay.
I said, okay, I can do those things and let's do it.
Okay.
And then the next thing I did was I apologized to my entire team.
Okay.
You cannot be so full of yourself that you cannot apologize.
Right.
Like if you as a leader cannot apologize, then it's like it will not work.
Right.
Nobody is above mistakes. We're all human, right? You're going to mess stuff up. You know, so you're going to have to say, hey, I got that wrong. You know, I wasn't a 10 today. I was a 6.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to eat it. I had to eat humble pie, and it was a big one. It was a big one. And so, and I had to wait for them to say, okay, okay, I forgive you.
Mm-hmm.
And for some of them, it took a long time for them to be like, oh, girl, you all right with me for real. It was really, it took a long time because, like, when I tell you I came in there, like, yeah.
Okay. All right. Wow. Well, the time has just flown by. You have given, it's so easy to talk to you, and you've given so much good information. And I know I've learned a lot, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be very helpful for individuals that have caught this episode. So let's go ahead and end with, if there's any, I don't know, additional words of wisdom that you'd like to leave the audience with. And then, of course, let them know again how to find you, and what would be the best way to contact you if they want to link up with you at some point.
Okay. I'll tell you where to find me first. I'm always on LinkedIn. So you can look me up at Dr. Tasha. So again, LinkedIn, go to LinkedIn and look for Dr. Tasha. Tasha is spelled Toshia. I know it's unusual. Say nothing at all about it. Toshia. And my website is www.drtasha.co or thenerdybrain.com. And so either one will take you to the same page, and you can, see all of that I have going on there. Looking forward to seeing you guys and talking to you guys there. So words of wisdom. I would say, what are my words of wisdom? I would keep it simple. If you are a leader, then you are serving. It's that simple. If you're a leader, then you are also serving.
Okay. Okay. I'm just kind of letting that resonate a bit, because you open with that. You open with that when I asked you what did leadership mean to you? And I never really thought of it like that. Yeah, that's definitely food for thought. But thank you so much, Dr. Natoshia Anderson, for being on the show here for this Born to Lead docu-series. You are a wealth of information, and I just appreciate you so much taking your time to come on the show and, share, share your successes, share your failures, and, giving people something to work with, tips, because we don't have all the answers. Sometimes we may think we do, but we don't. There's always room for improvement, right? Always room for improvement. So this has been very informative. Thank you so much. And I wish you, all of the best. And, at some point in the future, I'm hoping that our paths will cross again. And it's just been a pleasure. And again, I thank you so much for being on.
All right. See you later.
All right, everyone. Dr. Natoshia, you can go ahead, and go backstage. I'm just gonna kind of do a quick wrap up. So, everyone, I hope that you have really got something out of that. I know I did. I learned so much from my guests in terms of, just basically how to be better. When we know better, we can do better, right? So again, this is the Born to Lead docu-series, where we have just finished up with Dr. Natoshia Anderson. If you are interested in also being a part of this Born to Lead docu-series, where you can actually help women fine-tune their leadership skills, then definitely reach out to me and I would love to interview you as well. And again, make sure that you subscribe to the A Queens Roundtable YouTube channel. Subscribe and set your or turn your alerts on. I have to remember to say that. That way you'll know and you'll be alerted to whenever we're getting ready to go live. So thank you again for your time, and I really appreciate you. And until next time. All right, everyone, take care.